Welcome to tutorial 11 in the Practical RF Design tutorial series. I am Dr. Prakash Sangaran, a Keysight certified expert. In this tutorial, we will be learning part 3 of the complete design guide of a reactively matched ISM band power amplifier. If you haven't watched the earlier parts of this tutorial, please watch tutorials 9 and 10. Tutorial 9 contains PA introduction and device selection. Tutorial 10 contains DC analysis and load line theory, load pull and impedance matching. In this tutorial 11, we will be learning circuit simulation, layout design and layout simulation, EM circuit core simulation and results and analysis. The fifth PA design step we will look at is circuit simulation. Circuit simulation is a two-step simulation. The first step is to do simulation with ideal lump component models, and in the second step we will replace the ideal lump components with supplier component models. This is our PA circuit. It contains biasing circuit and also input and output match. The biasing circuit contains RF choke, decoupling capacitors and a resistive voltage divider. This is the input match and this is the output match. It contains DC blocking capacitor within. This is the PA circuit that has been designed with our selected device BFQ790. The schematic is built from scratch. Let's simulate this and see what we get. I have grouped the results according to the category to analyze them quickly. Small signal performance, large signal performance and stability analysis are given in separate boxes. Let's look at it one by one. The small signal gain is around 15.5 dB. The input and output return loss is meeting the spec. The Pout is above 27.5 dBm. The large signal gain is 13 dB, the drain efficiency is around 57 to 64% and the PAE is 55 to 61%. As far as the small signal stability analysis is concerned, the mu source and mu load is failing above 7 GHz. However, we need not worry about this. Based on my experience, when we use the component models from the supplier, this problem will be solved. The real part of driving point admittance is positive for both collector and base nodes, indicate the circuit is stable. Moreover, the bilateral true return ratio loop gain at collector and base is less than 0, which means the circuit is stable. These are the stability analysis done via WS probe. To know the details of these WS probes and the stability analysis, please watch videos titled How to Design a Stable High Frequency Amplifier from Matt Ozales in the Keysight Design Software YouTube channel. The total current consumption is 0.22 ampere. Let's look at the circuit simulation with the component models from Murata. As you can see, the small signal gain is 14 dB, which is meeting the spec. The input and output return loss is also less than minus 10 dB, which is meeting the spec. Output power is 27 dBm. Large signal gain is above 12 dB, which is around 12.7 to 12.9 dB. The drain efficiency is 42 to 47%, whereas the PAE is 40% to 45%. As we predicted, now the mu source and mu load is stable across the wide range of frequency. The real part of driving point admittance is positive, which means the circuit is stable. Bilateral true return ratio loop gain for collector and base is less than 0, which indicates the circuit is stable as well. The current consumption of the circuit is 0.27 amps. The P1DB simulation template I am using can be found in your ADS installation folder. It's called Sim Models Workspace. Let's launch the P1DB simulation template and simulate it. This template has harmonic data as well, but at this point in time, we are only interested in P1DB data. The P1DB is 27.4 dBm, which is also meeting the spec. Let's look at the large signal stability analysis for the PA. I have created a separate template for this, but it only requires a minor tweak in the template. Double click on the harmonic balance simulation controller. Under the small signal tab, enable small signal and perform stability analysis. Click apply, then OK. The rest of the results are similar to before, so we will only check the large signal stability analysis in this template. The large signal stability analysis indicates the circuit is stable. The following PA design step is layout design and simulation. The layout needs to be designed to minimize the parasitics. Unlike our previous videos, we will create our layout in ADS rather than Altium. We will modify the schematic that we simulated to create this layout. I am saving it with an extension that says layout at the end of it. In this new schematic, all the unnecessary simulation controllers are deleted because we are not going to do the schematic simulation. We need to change ID lump components in the circuit to ID lump components artwork or footprint. To do that faster, select the capacitors in the design, click Edit, Swap Component and click OK. Under the cell name, type _ pad1 and click Swap. Do the same for inductors and resistors. This section will be fast forward because it's a repetition. The next step is to change the component footprint. For our PA, we want to use 0201 size for all the lump components. We can change the lump components parameters in one shot easily. To do this, select all the components, click on Edit Components, Group Edit Parameters and insert parameters such as W, S and L1 to change. You can even change the units using this tab. As you can see, we have easily changed component footprints utilizing this feature. Next, to create the layout, I will remove the redundant components such as pots, current probes and WS probes. There's nothing wrong with keeping them here, but it's easy for you to see what I'm doing without them. After that, we need to insert mlin and empty between the components as needed so the auto-generate layout function will work well. Mlin and empty are microstrip line and microstrip T-junction respectively and can be found under microstrip transmission line component palette. Before inserting the mlin and empty, the components are moved to create enough space for the insertion. I will fast forward this process as it's straightforward. The next step is to insert the mlin and empty in the allocated space. The length of the RF microstrip line is 0.41 mm. The width remains 25 mils. Since space is allocated before, the insertion can be done quickly. I will fast forward this process as well because it's straightforward. After mlin insertion, we will insert the empty. We are modifying empty width according to the DC line requirement. After insertion, Some of the length and width are modified to create the layout correctly. Short between mline and empty lines will be removed now. We are done with the schematic. Let's click on Layout, generate and update the layout to view the layout we have just created. We have created a beautiful layout drawing with DC biasing circuits, input and output match. The only thing we are missing in the layout is the footprint of our transistor, the BFQ790. We can manually create the footprint or the pads for BFQ790 following the datasheet. To create pads, click on Insert Rectangle and start creating rectangle according to the pad dimension. The width and length of the rectangle can be adjusted under the rectangle properties. This is the base pad of the transistor. We should align the microstrip line center to be in a straight line with the base pad center. We can copy and paste the base pad for the collector pad because both are the same size. Now we can create the ground pad using the same method. The pad dimensions and spacing should be verified by measurement using dimension line or ruler under the Insert tab. We have created the BFQ790 footprint in ADS. Next, we must complete the layout by creating planes on each layer and the vias. To create a plane, go to Insert and click on Plane. The clearance is the ground clearance around the traces and components. I would like to have 15 mils clearance. By default, the top layer is selected. Just create the plane on the top layer first. Follow the exact step for layer 2 and layer 3. You can change the layer name under the layer tab. The transistor ground pad not connected to the ground power on the top layer because the ground pad is not assigned to the ground net. We will fix that quickly. Just double click on the pads to go to the properties on the left and change the net to the ground. Double click on the top layer plane and click apply so that the changes will take effect. Go to Insert and select Keep Out to clean up the layout by inserting Keep Out for the copper sticking out. Double click on the top layer plane and click apply so that the changes will take effect. The final step of layout creation is via insertion. We can either insert via by clicking Insert via or create a circle. I am going to use the ladder method. Before creating the via, make sure the right via layer is selected. Double click on the via to merge it with the ground power. Double click again on the via to go to via properties and edit the size. Next, we will copy and multiply the via to place it at the appropriate locations. To do that, go to Edit, Copy Paste and click on the step and repeat. We can adjust X spacing, Y spacing, number of rows and number of columns as needed to multiply and paste the vias easily in the layout. Since it's a repetition, I will fast forward this step. Now we can delete the first VR created for copy paste. Next, we will make all the VR to be in the ground layer. To do that, enable only the VR layer, select all the VRs and change the net name to ground. Finally, the layout creation has been completed. We did not define the layer stack-up in the layout design process because it has been defined earlier. This board is a 3-layer PCB board. Let's insert pins for input, output and all the component pads so we can EM simulate it. I have gone through the EM simulation process and EM circuit core simulation process in detail in all my previous videos. If you have any doubt on RF Pro simulation or EM circuit core simulation, please watch my tutorials from 1 to 8. Let's launch RF Pro as usual. The top layer and the second layer are in same color. To view it better, I am going to change the top layer's color to green. Go to the top layer under the substrate and change the face color to green to do that. Now we can clearly see the top, middle and the bottom layers and the VRs connecting them. Drag all the pins into pods under full EM analysis. The input pod, output pod and series components pods have a ground reference underneath the respective positive pins. To assign it to the pod, right-click on the pod and select Create and use virtual pin on nearby ground net. Let's move on to the EM simulation settings. Double-click on the options and insert low, mid and high frequency for our PA on top of the 0 to 10 GHz simulation frequency range. We will use Momentum Microwave Simulator and 50 cells per wavelength mesh density. Double-click on Run to start the simulation. The simulation is started. Since we have already simulated the design, I will not re-simulate it again. After simulation, double-click on Generate Sub-Circuit Model so you can do EM circuit core simulation with it. Finally, we will look into EM circuit core simulation and the results. I will not show the details of setting up EM circuit core simulation because it has been covered in previous tutorials 1 to 8. Please watch those tutorials to know the details of EM circuit core simulation if you are new to ADS. This is our EM circuit core simulation schematic. Let's simulate this to see what we got. The small signal gain is 13.2 to 12.7 dB, which is meeting the spec. The output power is 26.9 to 26.7 dBm, which is also meeting spec. The large signal gain is 12.4 dB to 12.2 dB, which is also meeting spec. The drain efficiency is around 36 to 38%. The power added efficiency is 34% to 36%. The small signal stability analysis parameter shows that our circuit is stable over a wide frequency range. The circuit current drawn is 0.24 amps. Let's look at the P1 dB. The P1 dB number is 26.6 dBm, which is meeting the spec. This template is just to do the large signal stability analysis and the perform stability analysis is enabled here. The large signal stability analysis indicates the circuit is stable. Finally, let's compare the design specification with PA-EM circuit core simulated results. The PA meets the design goals such as gain, output power, stability, linearity and efficiency. The results are marginal for input and output return loss, which is acceptable because we have met all our important design specifications. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I will see you in my next video with another interesting problem. For inquiries, please email pragash@innovwave.co or visit www.innovwave.co.